Bowl. We did. Now we got to talk the Peach Bowl, Ohio State and Georgia. Final thoughts on this game here? Well, you got the SEC champion and the Big Ten East runner-up. Ohio State's looked flawless outside of a close Notre Dame win. And up until that Michigan game, they looked really, really good. Not that they were unbeatable. They were battle tested against Notre Dame, but outside of that, man, they took it to the wood shop and really laid it on everybody and put up all this offense and the defense came together. Who's the defensive coordinator? Is it Jim Knowles? Is that who I'm thinking of? Comes in this year and he puts it all together. He really does. And the defense has looked pretty good. And it's I think here's how I feel about the Peach Bowl. Georgia, there's no such thing as unbeatable. But Georgia is fierce and hard to stop. Doesn't mean they can't be stopped. They're not God. They're not inferior. They're not, they're dominant, they're elite, and they're physical. That's Georgia. Does any of those categories say to you unbeatable? No. But there's a little bit of media out there that I've seen from like the main sources, ESPN, 247, CBS. I just hear people say Georgia's unstoppable. Georgia's unstoppable. That's not necessarily true though. When you look at the matchup predictor, and we already previewed and gave the score prediction, Georgia has a 57.5% chance to win. I don't know if that's being generous to Ohio State. The spread is also 6.5. Ohio State has a better offense, but it's not close in terms of the defense. Ohio State has allowed 19 points a game. Georgia's allowed around 12 points a game. 13 maybe, give or take. Last time we saw Georgia take the field, they put 50 points up in an SEC championship over LSU. When's the last time you saw Georgia score 50 points? They gave up 30, though. Talk about defense for them. Nah, I won't take anything away from their defense. They gave up 30. Had a little bit of a bad day. It is what it is. They still won the game that mattered. Last time, here's the thing about this game. Georgia is almost unstoppable. No one has really shown how you stop Georgia outside of a close Kent State game, which I don't want to sit here and say Kent State showed you how you stop Georgia. I don't know what happened in that game. I didn't watch it. I only saw that the score was like 22-20, or maybe it was like 22-19 or something. It was something weird. It was weird. And Georgia had to come up with a stop on defense, and they did. How do I want to put this? Georgia's not unbeatable. There's no such thing as unbeatable. You can be beat. Ohio State has to figure out how to do that. I can't tell you the formula of how you're going to beat Georgia in Atlanta on New Year's Eve. But I'll say this. Who's to say Ohio State can't win this game? This is a team that's averaging 44.5 points per game. This is a team that has just shy of 200 yards rushing and just shy of 300 yards passing. They have more yards passing than Georgia does. Georgia does have the edge in yards rushing. But who's to say C.J. Stroud can't put something together? Marvin Harrison. Mayan Williams. Who's to say these guys can't step up on offense and put together a drive? Put something together. Georgia's defense is still dominant. It's not what it was last year. Last year, weren't they only allowing, this year they're giving up 12. Last year, they were giving up 9 points a game, something like that. And that's fine. Nothing wrong with it, but I mean, Ohio State got their butts kicked against Michigan. They don't want to let that happen again. And the last time we saw Ohio State in the playoffs, too, it was the COVID season, and they lost 52-24 against, you guessed it, the Alabama Crimson Tide. I'll say this. I do think Ohio State is motivated after the loss. I think they could play a complete game. I think they could play a good game. I think that they are talented on both sides of the ball. I think the defense is much improved this year, too. Only giving up less than 3 touchdowns a game. Only allowing 120 rushing yards on average, or not even on average. That's this season as a whole, really. And 185, 84, passing yards. That's not bad. Now, they have had better pass defense than Georgia, if you want to look at the numbers. Whoa. Close one there. I'm glad I caught that mic. I can't afford to break it. I'm going to set that aside. I'll put it like this. I think Ohio State has what it takes to beat Georgia. I don't think that's going to happen. If you go back and you watch my prediction video, I have it being Georgia and Michigan for the Natty. I do. But I also say, like I said, I can't tell you the blueprint to beat Georgia. I don't know how to do that. I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't know the mathematics. I don't know the situation. I don't know how you beat Georgia. Maybe you got to hope their O-line has a bad day. You can get after Stetson Bennett. Do you have to have a certain offense? Do you have to pass the ball? Do you have to have speedy receivers? Ohio State has that. Does Ohio State have that to beat Georgia? Man, it could be. We'll see. But my final thoughts are this on the Peach Bowl. I think Ohio State can make it a game for 3.5 quarters, but then Georgia is going to find a way to win this game. Going to find a way to win the game. There's no other way around it. I have prayed to the good Lord above Georgia loses a game this year. And it hasn't happened yet. Who am I thinking? Kirby Smart, the head coach, of course. He said at media days, and this it's annoying to me, but I respect the man because of it. This is just the culture that he's building. He said, "We are hungry and we will not be hunted this year as Georgia," right? We won't be hunted. I'm sorry. If you're the defending champs and you're the best team in college football, which they are, you are hunted. People want to get after you. They do. I'm sorry. They do. There's no other way to put it. Let me double check something real quick. What I have here. I had for my final score. I know I had Georgia winning. How close did I have this though? 34-24, Georgia over Ohio State. 10 points. I think Georgia could get a field goal or a touchdown late in the game. That'll basically put the game on ice. Seal the game. Seal the victory. That's what I think. So, my final thoughts on the Peach Bowl. 34-24 Georgia. It's not impossible to beat them. Nothing is impossible if you believe it. Nothing's impossible with God, by the way. Believe in that too. But you know, it's just funny. And you got this team in Georgia that's 13-0 SEC champs. That's one thing. I mean, this is like LSU of 2019. This is like Alabama of 2018 before Clemson got them. This is like, I guess 2020 Alabama. They're just not going to be stopped unless someone could do something about it. But going into the game, you would be stupid to pick against them. You would be stupid to not pick Georgia to beat Ohio State.